Would you stay silent? Or let revenge speak for you? Welcome to the stories on Shattered Vengeance. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. The seating chart placed me at table 24, the absolute last row of the ballroom behind a decorative column that blocked most of the view. My place card read, Emma Bennett, guest. No doctor, no relationship designation. Just generic attendee. Around me sat Victoria's college roommate's divorced aunt, a co-worker's awkward teenage son, and 3 empty chairs. We were the aesthetic failures. People who didn't photograph well for my sister's Instagram-perfect wedding. I'd flown from London that morning, exhausted from emergency parliamentary sessions. My black dress was elegant but simple, appropriate for both a wedding and receiving heads of state. Victoria spotted me and approached, champagne in hand, her $12,000 dress rustling. Her bridesmaids followed, smirking. "Emma, you came. Wasn't sure you could leave your little government job." She said it like sewage work. "I wouldn't miss your wedding. I hope you're comfortable back here. Front tables are for successful family and James's business associates. The back row is for unsuccessful relatives." She laughed. Her bridesmaids joined in. "You understand." Nearby guests chuckled. The divorced aunt gave me a sympathetic look. "Of course," I said quietly. Victoria leaned closer, stage whispering loud enough for surrounding tables. "Not your fault you never made anything of yourself. Not everyone can be high achievers. What is it you do again? Administrative work. Something like that. Right. Enjoy the view." She swept away, bridesmaids giggling. My phone buzzed. WhatsApp from Prime Minister Catherine Morrison. Landing in 20 minutes. Security coordinating with venue. "Sorry for disrupting your family event, but G7 emergency requires your immediate input. See you shortly." I replied, "Understood, Prime Minister. I'll be in the back row." 6 months ago I'd mentioned working in international relations. My mother said, "How nice, dear." My father asked if I'd been promoted from secretary. Victoria ignored it entirely, too focused on wedding planning. None had asked what international relations meant. None knew I was the UK's foreign secretary, youngest in modern history. None realized I spent 3 years negotiating trade agreements, mediating conflicts, representing Britain globally. None wondered why the Prime Minister needed to meet me during Victoria's wedding. They were about to learn. Hold up. The ceremony proceeded with Victoria and James exchanging vows under thousands of dollars in flowers. From behind my column I saw maybe 60% of it. My phone buzzed with urgent diplomatic messages. The G7 summit had hit crisis, a trade dispute threatening months of negotiations I'd personally orchestrated. The PM needed my assessment before tonight's emergency session. During vows, my mother shot me disapproving looks for checking my phone. I put it away. The reception began. Premium filet and lobster for front tables, basic chicken for table 24. The hierarchy wasn't subtle. Victoria's toast thanked everyone who supported our journey, James's parents who've been generous, my parents who made tonight possible, and all our successful friends who inspire us. She gestured to front tables. The back room wasn't acknowledged. James's father, a real estate developer, toasted about surrounding yourself with winners and marrying well. His eyes swept front tables approvingly, never reaching back rows. My mother praised Victoria's marketing career, her home, her wise choice in James. Victoria has always been our shining star. Everything parents could hope for. I sat at table 24, quietly being everything they'd apparently never hoped for. At 7:47 p.m. my phone buzzed, arriving in 3 minutes. Preparing entrance protocols. I stepped out and called Catherine. "I'm so sorry. My family doesn't know about my position. This will be complicated. The G7 can't wait, Emma. I need 30 minutes on negotiation strategy. Your expertise is critical. There's probably a private room. But Catherine, my sister seated me in back because she thinks I'm unsuccessful. She'll be blindsided. Then she'll learn otherwise. We're here." I returned to table 24 as commotion erupted at the entrance. The wedding coordinator looked panicked. Victoria frowned from the head table. The doors opened. Prime Minister Catherine Morrison entered, flanked by 6 security personnel. The ballroom went silent. Catherine spotted me in the back corner and walked directly toward table 24, security following, guests staring. "Foreign Secretary Bennett," she said formally. "Apologies for interrupting, but the G7 situation has escalated. I need your assessment immediately." "Foreign Secretary." The words echoed through silence. Victoria's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering. Revelation. "Prime Minister Morrison," I stood, smoothing my dress. "Of course. Somewhere private to discuss trade negotiations." The coordinator materialized, trembling. "Conference room on the 2nd floor." "Perfect," Catherine said. She addressed the ballroom. "I apologize for disrupting this celebration. International crises don't pause for family events. I need Foreign Secretary Bennett for urgent G7 matters. We'll be brief." She looked at Victoria. "You must be the bride. Congratulations. Your sister speaks fondly of you, though she rarely has time for family given her diplomatic responsibilities." Victoria's mouth opened soundlessly. "Emma is Foreign Secretary?" my mother said weakly. "Of England." "The United Kingdom, yes," Catherine confirmed. "For 3 years. One of our finest diplomats. The trade agreement she negotiated with Japan alone strengthened our economy by billions. Her post-Brexit EU relationship rebuilding has been remarkable. Surely she's mentioned this." She said international relations, my father said faintly. "We thought, administrative support." "Administrative support?" Catherine's eyebrow raised. "Emma advises me on all major foreign policy. She represents the UK at NATO, the UN, G7 summits. She's been instrumental in," she checked her watch. "We really must proceed. The German Chancellor is waiting." I followed Catherine out, security creating a perimeter. The ballroom erupted in frantic whispers. "Emma, wait." Victoria's voice, desperate. "I didn't know." I paused. "Didn't know what?" "That the unsuccessful relative negotiates treaties? That my little job involves world leaders? You never asked." "You should have told us," my mother protested. I tried. At Christmas I mentioned cabinet appointment. Dad changed subjects to James's promotion. Last Thanksgiving I mentioned meeting the French president. You asked if I'd gotten him coffee. James's father stood abruptly. "Foreign Secretary Bennett, I've been trying to get meetings with your office for months about development permits." "I know. Your application was denied. 3 times. Code violations." His face flushed. "Emma, the Chancellor is waiting," Catherine said. We spent 40 minutes reviewing trade strategies, video conferencing with the German Chancellor and Japanese Prime Minister, finalizing G7 recommendations. Catherine took notes while I outlined my diplomatic approach. "Brilliant as always," Catherine said. "You've saved this summit. Japan's PM specifically requested you lead tonight's negotiations. I'll catch the next Brussels flight. Your family will want explanations." They thought the back row was appropriate. Let them sit with that. Returning to the ballroom, we found a completely changed atmosphere. Guests clustered with phones out, clearly Googling me. Victoria sat crying, makeup streaked. My parents looked shell-shocked. Catherine announced, "Thank you for your patience. Foreign Secretary Bennett departs shortly for Brussels for the emergency summit. Again, congratulations to the couple." She left with security. Silence held for a long moment. James's father approached, condescension replaced with desperate networking. "Foreign Secretary, I apologize. Perhaps we could discuss those permits." "No." Victoria appeared, mascara running. "Emma, please. Everyone's talking about how I put you in back. They're saying I'm an idiot. This is ruining my wedding." "You ruined it announcing the back row was for unsuccessful relatives. You just didn't expect that relative to outrank everyone in your front rows." "I didn't know." "You didn't care to know. There's a difference." My mother pleaded, "Surely we can discuss this as family." The Prime Minister made the scene. International diplomacy made the scene. I was content sitting quietly, but G7 crises don't check wedding schedules. Resolution. I left 30 minutes later, driving to the airport while my phone exploded with texts. "Victoria, you humiliated me. 200 guests talking about how I treated you. My wedding is ruined. My mother. The country club is gossiping about why we didn't know. You've embarrassed us. James's father. Please reconsider the permits. I didn't realize who you were. I responded to none. The G7 summit lasted 4 days. My negotiations resolved the crisis. International media covered it extensively. Photos of me with world leaders my family undoubtedly saw. Returning to London, I found Victoria's forwarded letter. I'm sorry I didn't take your career seriously. But you should have made us understand how important you are. You let us think you were nobody. This is partially your fault. I filed it unanswered. My parents called asking if I could help Victoria's company secure international clients. I declined. Victoria's wedding photos circulated, beautiful images marred by the story everyone knew. The bride who backrode her sister, not knowing that sister advised the Prime Minister. The divorced aunt from Table 24 messaged, "Most spectacular comeuppance I've witnessed. Thank you." 6 months later I was promoted to Deputy Prime Minister. International headlines. My family group texted, "Congratulations. Always knew you'd succeed. So proud." I left them on read. The back row taught me where I stood in their priorities. The Prime Minister's arrival ensured everyone else learned it too. Victoria got her perfect photos. I got confirmation their love was conditional on visible success. And their success definition was embarrassingly narrow. When your sister sneers about unsuccessful relatives while you're running foreign policy, the problem isn't your success. It's their blindness. The Prime Minister's motorcade made that blindness very public. The back row was for unsuccessful relatives. I just happened to negotiate with world leaders from that seat. Their champagne glasses shattered perfectly.